Hi.
Hi.
So,
Hi there.
we watched School Live, episodes 1, 6, and 10, aka the most moe, totally just moe, only moe anime out there.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta start this with a question.
Uh-huh.
Spooky, did you choose this because you think it's possibly the only moe that I might actually like?
Fuck no. That's not why I chose it.
Okay, thank God. I was like wanting to ask that question, but I was like, I feel like it's kind of insulting to ask that question because I'm like, because I fucking don't.
It's
not
only...
that I hate this.
Yeah. Well, let's start with what do you guys think I think of this show?
Like a 6 or a 7,
I
probably.
think you probably think it's a 5. I think you think it's... I don't know. My mind's weird because it's moe, so I'm like, I don't know how to fucking grade this with Spooky. I think you think it's okay. Like,
yeah.
I think elements of it are really good, but like overall, it's just okay.
You guys both shot lower. I gave it an 8.
Huh.
Alright.
So...
I've lost all faith in you, Spooky.
I wasn't sure because there are parts of it that are just so difficult. Even from someone who can like kind of stand this sort of
I was about to say,
genre.
and that's Dia saying that.
Yeah.
Out of the three of us, I'm like easily the one that likes moe the most.
Yes. I guess the thing is though is that like even for someone that likes moe, there's parts that are pretty fucking difficult. In this,
I thought you
just
didn't like
come
moe.
on. It's it depends.
Because I remember when we watched K-On!, you were like, oh, I fucking hate this cute girl shit. And I was like,
Well,
okay.
Well, yeah, generally, for the most part, but, like, I can stand it. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, so,
anyway.
Yeah. Let's just
So,
get into it.
Episode 1. Fuck, it's a moe.
Is that the title?
We cut... Yeah, that's what the subtitle is. We cut to a girl waking up in a room in a flat, I forget the term for it, not mattress, a sleeping bag type deal. Not a sleeping bag, but you know the I forget what it's called, the
or whatever, or just a futon?
Bed, small bed, whatever, futon. That's it.
Futon,
whatever.
yeah.
Futon like bed, whatever. She's waking up. Slowly, pink hair, and a dog licks her face and wakes her up. It's like, oh god, it's a moe. And she's like, oh no, I'm late for school. Like, oh, it's great that you wake me up like this each morning, but I'm late for school now. Oh no. And then it's like, oh, okay, she's part of the school living club. So it's, in my mind, it's like, okay, so this is just K-On!, but with a more boring club. Cool. Anyway, she's like, okay, I gotta get to club time. She gets to a club and everyone's there, and they're like, wow, why are you always so late, Pink? And she's like, 'cause I'm so moe. And we introduce a cast of characters. There's Pink, Brunette, Blondie, and Purple. All colored hair.
Yeah.
And that's what I call them. I know some of their names, but I'm never gonna say them. Purple has a shovel, and she's like, see, I have this shovel because in World War I, in the trenches, this actually was the weapon with the most kills. Okay. And while she says that, they all sit down, and Brunette's cooking their food. Oh my god, because it's the living club. They eat food. Cool. And wow, it's spaghetti for dinner. They eat spaghetti. The dog that she brought to the club doesn't like blonde girl and is terrified of brunette woman who is like the mother of the group. So now that we've established that, we can move on. They go to eat the food, and Pink is eating her food too fast. Oh no, it's too fast. You need to stop and be slow and savor it like Blondie does. Oishi. And then Pink's like, oh no, I'm gonna be late for class. So she leaves and goes to class, and she bumps into a neon pink teacher, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, teacher," and the teacher's like, "Oh, by the way," and Pink's like, "Sorry, I gotta go," and she's like, "I'm invisible to this girl." And then Pink goes to class, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna work now," and then she falls asleep immediately, and the teacher's like, "Yo, wake up, bitch." And Pink's like, "What? Oh, okay." And then Blondie slams the door open and is like, "Yo, Pink, get up. We gotta go find the dog." And she's like, Blondie, we're in class." And Blondie's like, "Oh, sorry." Shuts the door and then opens it again. Is like, "Come on, can we go?" Well, sorry. She shuts the door and then Pink's like, "Hey, can I go to the nurse's office?" And the teacher's like, "Yeah, sure, I guess." And he's like, "Thanks, I'm feeling sick." And then she's like, "Okay, I'm off now." And the teacher's like, "What? You just said you were sick." Anyway, she goes out and Blondie's like, "Yeah, the dog's gone missing." She's like, "Oh, well, he can get in some wacky hijinks now that he can open doors." And Blondie's like, "Haha, yeah, let's find the dog, please." And they start slamming open doors. And Pink's like, "Yo, Blondie, they're in class. Don't open the what are you doing?" And Blondie's like, sorry, fine, whatever." They find the dog down the stairs, and they're anime running towards him. But then the dog runs into the home ec class. "Oh no, stuff's flying everywhere." And Pink's like, "This is bad. This is very, very bad." And Blondie's like, "Okay, fine. I'll go in and get her. Get the dog." He's like, "Okay, hi. I'm from the home living club, the school living club. I'm here to get the dog." Shuts the door behind her, and then the dog runs out the other door. Oh my god, wacky hijinks!
Wow.
Pink chases after the dog. And it's like, "Yo, Blondie, dog went this way." Blondie comes out. They all go up to the garden. And just as they're going to the roof, Shovel Purple comes out and it's like, "Oh," and the dog's like, "Oh," and the girl's like, "Whoa," and then the dog runs past her and she's like, "What?" They're like, "Dog," and she's like, "What?" And then they run into the garden that's on the roof. And Brunette's there. And they all chase the dog around the garden. Hee hee tee hee. And then Brunette stops them and is like, "Yo, girls, you gotta stop this. Like, you gotta respect the other clubs and the other students here. Like, you gotta stop. Like, come on, say sorry. Sorry, gardening club." And then they're like, "Okay, cool, now get on your way." And they're like, "Okay, we're on our way." And then they... Oh yeah, the dog gets scared by Brunette again, and the dog doesn't like Blondie. So that happens in the garden. After that, the dog goes behind a door, and they're like, "Oh my god, the dog!" But then it cuts to the next scene, and they've caught the dog and put it on a lead. And then the teacher walks in and is like, "Oh my god, there's gonna be a teachers' meeting about this. Like, oh god, like, oh, the dog ruined so many classes." And Pink's like, "What?" No, Blondie was like, "Thank god there weren't any repercussions to it." And the teacher's like, "But there were many repercussions." Wacky hijinks. And then Pink's like, "Wait, I forgot my bag. I left it in the classroom. I better go get it." So she goes to get her bag, and the classmates are like, "Yo, did you just skip out on class?" And she's like, No, I just had to go get the dog because the dog ran away. Also, no, sorry, we just had to go get Taramaru, which is the dog's name." And then they're like, "What? Who's that? Is it a boy? No, is it a girl?" They're like, "Well, he's not a girl, and he wakes me up and like feels like sometimes he's gonna rip my skirt off, but then he licks me in the face and like smacks me around." They're like, "What? What is this monster?" And he's like, "No, he's a dog." Ha ha ha. Anyway, Blondie's at the door and he's like, "Yo, Pink, by the way, everyone's dead. Can you come back?" And then we get a reality veil drop. And we've been seeing everything through Pink's lens, where everything's fine. We're in reality, where it's a zombie apocalypse, and only the school club people are actually alive. Everyone else was just a figment of Pink's imagination. So it's not actually a moe. Oh my god, what a twist!
Yeah.
Except there's a double twist in that it's still a moe.
Half. It mixes the genres. It becomes less moe as the series goes on. Anyway, throughout episode 1, there's a lot of little hints that you wouldn't probably pick up on.
Such as?
No,
Spooky?
even as I was saying that,
I
realized, like, Blondie slamming the doors open and, like, completely disregarding the school bit. I was like, that's a very moe thing, but now within the lens of like what's actually going on, it's like that makes a lot of sense.
Yep, that's why and every time that Yuki's like, hey, Mi-chan, you shouldn't do that, they're in class, she like looks at her kind of sad, like, because she's the one that's the most not okay with her mental state, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of little hints throughout. It's kind of cool. So, like, there are scenes where they'll walk by a window, and if you look at the window in the background, you'll notice it's broken. There's, like, a wall of, like, desks to block things off. There's,
a shovel.
Yeah, the fact that one character literally has a shovel. When they're on the roof, there's, like, crosses in the garden area, like, as though people are buried there. There's like
the barricade.
I mentioned the barricade, but yeah, it's like a wall of death type things. And then there's like they're eating the what's it called, hardtack.
Hardtack.
Which
they're eating hardtack.
If you don't know what hardtack is, because me and Spooky basically know what it is, it's wartime food. It's ration food. It is literally flour and water, because it is the easiest thing to feed people and not waste supplies.
Yeah, so there's, like, a lot of little hints kind of leading up to that point, and then it's, like, the big reveal, and it's, like, a bunch of little things that, like, you might be, like, if you know what hardtack is, you're gonna be like, oh, that's a little bit weird. Why are they eating hardtack? You know, and stuff like that. But then, when the reveal happens, you, like, go back and notice all of these things, and like Gamb said, Mi-chan, like, breaking into the classrooms and just yelling, like, as though nobody's there, and it's like, yeah, because nobody is there.
Yeah, and, like, I think my thing, which I'll get into a bit more when we finish talking about all of it, is, like, when that veil dropped, I was like, okay, this can go in a really interesting direction. It doesn't, but it could have.
I disagree with Gamb, like, but Gamb's also only seen 3 episodes, so I can't.
I really wish it might. I don't know. We'll talk about it a bit later when we actually talk about what happens, but
yeah,
I just it still was too moe in the end for me. Yeah. But anyway, next episode we watched
episode 6. We hear Pink talking about Blonde joining the club because. Guess what? This is a flashback episode. This is the time that Blondie met Pinky and they joined the club. Woo! And Yuki, Pink Girl, Anime introduces herself to Blonde Girl, and teacher just gets ignored for the fact that Pink is older than Blondie. And she's like, oh, that's weird. Huh. Okay, welcome to school. And Blondie just kind of has like this wartime stare going on about being back in school. The dog told them Blondie was there, apparently, but also he hates her for some reason. That's weird. Then Pink leads Blonde around the school, even though she went here, so she knows these rooms. And she's like, why'd you leave the door open? That's weird. Going into a room, she sees, like, the music room. She's like, look, it's all magical. And they're like, nah, it's actually all fucking bloody and destruction everywhere. And Pink is just, like, in a fucking brain fog. And me and Gamb had a realization at the exact same moment. But we'll get to that. We ask Pink to leave by calling her senpai, and it gets her all excited. And then she doesn't really understand what's going on. And Blonde wants to ask her a question. She's like, who's this person you keep talking to? And we cut to pink-haired girl, and there's nobody else in the room. Teacher was never there. And then she's like freaking out, and the teacher in her head is going like, oh my god, I don't exist. No one sees me. I'm invisible. And she's like, please tell the teacher she exists so she doesn't cry. But then purple and brown hair show up to interrupt the situation. The club is trying to make life more enjoyable for everyone by camping here, air quotes. And we learned that the teacher did exist. She's dead now. Pink hair tried to save her. Teacher protected them and died for them. And pink hair still sees the teacher and her students stole. And, like, she still goes to class and she's fucking crazy and can't handle it. Also, that cross on the roof in the garden, that's for her. everyone plays along with the charade because and it's not about her getting better. It's literally just like, we need to survive, and this is the easiest way to get shit done. Blonde will play along until she knows Pink better, so they all come back, and Pink wants to talk. She wants to have a sports festival as a club activity. So they make a full sports festival and have races and fun and games. And Purple goes and offers Blonde a rag to cool herself off and goes, Pink comes up with these things when we need them the most. We don't know how she knows, but she just kind of does. It's whatever. And whenever we need a break, she just kind of knows. So then they all eat dinner that night. And Blonde apparently fucking loves Brunette's cooking that she almost cries. And then flashes back to Blondie losing one of her friends / girlfriend. And they're locked in a room together, and she's like, this isn't living, I'm leaving. Goodbye, Blonde, and she leaves. And Blonde is like, goodbye. I'm so glad I came here, I feel alive. I like my senpai a whole lot now. And then Blonde goes to take a nice shower, gets real confident in the shower, and goes to talk to Brunette and goes, can I join the club? And she's like, yeah, sure. And they go to shake hands, and there's another flashback to her lesbian ex-girlfriend leaving her to go die to the zombies. And then we flash forward again, like really, really far forward. And they're working on the yearbook for the school in the future, talking about, wow, Blonde, this is where we met. And then Blonde's like, also I'm gay. And yeah, that's the episode.
Gay.
There's also a lot of things.
It literally ends like on a photo of them holding hands together.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things building up to this point too that you guys didn't see, where it's like slowly hinting towards Megune already being dead too. But they really hammer it down in this episode.
Yeah.
Prior to, though, it's really cool. I mentioned this in the commentary, but if you go back and watch, there's like a lot of scenes where it's like, the characters are obviously attempting to have conversation with this fake Megune to go along with Yuki. So it's like they'll be talking to her, but they're like just kind of guessing when she would be talking / like what she's saying. So, like, they'll, like, cut her off a lot and things like that. And there's, like, a lot of moments of, like, oh, they just run past her. Or, like, different things. Like, she comes in a scene where, like, maybe she shouldn't have really been there, but you just don't question it type thing. Yeah, and then this episode, they're like, okay, here's more hints. Here you go, reveal. Which I think is... Yeah. They do really, really good reveals in this show.
Some really good reveals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your turn, Gamb.
Oh boy. Okay.
Hey, at least stuff happens this episode.
Things do happen. Yes, things do happen. This is probably out of all of them, the one episode where I was like, okay, I'm able to pay attention the most. Although I did pay attention quite a bit in episode 6 and such. It's the lingering stink of Moe sticks to it.
Yeah, as I said, as the series goes on, it becomes less Moe, like basically every episode. Episode 6 is still pretty Moe heavy, but by this point there's like really not a lot of it at all.
It's like it becomes less Moe, but it feels like a lot of it doesn't feel enough substance to take over what like is missing now. So it's like you take the Moe out, you got to replace it with something. It's like it doesn't feel like they put enough substance in there, which leads to a lot of just... I
think I disagree.
Well, what substance happened?
So,
what happened?
Yeah, episode 10. So, Blondie has finally finished her Stephen King book. By the way, she was reading a Stephen King book this entire time.
It was Steppen King?
Yeah.
Steppen King, sorry, Steppenwolf.
Yes.
She was reading a Steppenwolf book this entire time. And also, hey, time for a flashback about how like how like when things first started, and like Blondie's talking to the brunette, and they're like, yeah, we over time we slowly moved the safe area like more and more to like be able to move more around the school and like make sure it's safe, so there's a wider area so like zombies wouldn't like be like, "Arr, I smell." So it's like, okay, so that's how things worked over time. And then it's like they talking about the fact that over time there used to be no zombies here, but slowly student zombies just showed up more and more, as if their past memories were just sort of taking hold, and they were just going off sort of latent memories of like, well, they were students, got to go to school. And Pink comes in and is like, wow, all the sports kids are coming in, which, haha, get it? She's mentally disconnected from reality because she cannot comprehend the reality that's happened. So Blondie's like, why don't we just like extend the barricade then and try and go out and go to further places? And Brunette's like, that's, well, because we don't have any more supplies to build barricades any further. Like, what we have is what we've got. Like, there's nothing more, no more nails, no more benches or desks or anything. Then we get the intro again, and I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, because my memory today is really bad.
Not.
Oh, we have not.
So the intro is highly, highly moe intro. It's a banger, an absolute banger. And as episodes have gone by, more and more of the intro has reflected what's actually going on rather than the moe reality inside Pink's head. And there's a lot of really cool bits in it of like visual imagery of like, I think my personal favorite is still, you see a classroom that's dilapidated, but you see the silhouette of the girls running in front of it, and that when their silhouette is over the classroom, it shows what it used to be like before the zombie apocalypse. Like, oh, okay, that's a really neat visual metaphor, especially in regards to Pink. But there's the cut back to the episode now, and they're like, oh, by the way, the dog's gone. Has anyone seen him? He usually wakes me up in the morning, but I guess he got out of his collar and he is just wandering around. And at this moment I was like, oh no. Oh, this is gonna be a depressing episode. Cause the second that dog's gone, you know what runs through your head, and yes, it's correct. They're all like, okay, we'll split up and find the dog. Split out and search for clues. And Purple's like grabs a shovel and she's like, okay, I'll search over here in this specific area. I forget what area it is. I think it was downstairs or something. No, she went upstairs. That's right. She went upstairs. And Purple like checked the roof with the gun. She saw the cross that they put there for the teacher, and she was like, man, I remember the teacher. She was great. And then she died. Anyway, dog. I'll find the dog for you, teacher. You wanted us to look after it, and we'll look after it for you. We'll find the dog. And so she goes down to look for the dog, and she sees one of the barricades with all the desks, and she sees paw prints, and she's like, oh, the dog went through the barricade. I'll jump past and save it. She jumps over, and some zombies are behind her. She's like, and then she runs to go to the dog and follows the paw print tracks to find the dog. Wow, she found the dog. She did it. Oh, the dog's a zombie. Oh boy. Oh, and she's like, oh god, what do I fucking do? She's like holding up her shovel, and the dog charges at her and bites into the shovel and leaves teeth mark, and she's like, oh god, and like doesn't want to hurt the dog because she can't bring herself to do it. And so she tricks the dog into running into a room and then just shuts the door on the dog because she just doesn't know what to do. Then as she's walking back, she hears a zombie from where the dog came from. She's like, you're the dog that turned him. I'll get revenge because... she opens up and goes through, and she's like, zombie, I choose you to die. I'm charging my shovel. And she goes, and she's like, oh my god, it was the teacher? No, teacher, why? I've got to do it now. She goes to swing it, and then she sees the teacher again. She's like, but I can't do it. And then the teacher bites her. Because, yeah. We cut back to the club, And everyone's like, oh, she hasn't returned yet. Should we go, like, look for her? Like, maybe she found the dog, or maybe she's in trouble. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Then suddenly, Purple Girl opens the door, gets on the floor, and then everybody starts walking the dinosaur. And by that, I mean they all start panicking because she's been bitten. And they're like, oh, fuck, Pink, don't look. It's ketchup, I swear. And Pink's just like, okay, where's the first aid kit? I can help her. And Brunette's just like, it's in the teacher's room. She's like, on it. And she leaves the room, and Blondie's like, she's fucked. And Brunette's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. She returns with the first aid kit, and they lay Purple down on a couch and put a blankie over her and bandage her up and everything. And they're just like, what do we do? Pink, can you leave the room? Because we need to talk about reality for a second, and we cannot actually handle your cope right now, so go boil some water for us. Okay. So she goes to boil some water, and Brunette's just like, oh god, what do we do? And Brunette's just like, oh no, I'm gonna have to kill her, aren't I? And we see Purple's veins bulging as if something's coursing through her veins. Oh dear lord, no, she's turning. Ooh. Ooh. So they've handcuffed her to the couch. So if she does turn, they aren't immediately going to die. And we get a really, really neat, what was almost really good scene where we cut to Purple inside a small enclosed room with windows where it's dark outside, and you see eyes looking in of the zombies trying to get her, and she's completely fine. A nice little visual shorthand for what's going on in her mind and her body as a zombie is trying to take over and break in and, kill her completely. She's in there, and the dog's in there too, and the dog's all better. She's like, oh, hello, dog. And the dog's like, grr, I'm a zombie. And she's like, ah! Anyway, back to reality. Brunette is there all alone, watching her suffer, and she's like, oh, God, should I pull out this knife and kill her? I think I've got to do it. I'm going to pull out the knife. And then Blondie re-enters, so she does it. She's like, knife? What knife? There's no knife here. And puts it back in her bag. And Blondie's like, yo, look at this pamphlet. It says there's a Chuck E. Cheese and medicine. And Brunette's like, whoa, medicine? Because, by the way, earlier in the episode, I didn't mention it. Earlier in the episode, Brunette was like, oh, writing in her diary, and was like, shit, we're nearly out of vitamins. Like, I assume this is a ticking clock of some kind of, like, Brunette's got some type of disease or illness that requires regular medicine. So they're like, oh, fuck, medicine, we gotta go get it. And Blondie's like, yep, I'm on it. I can do it. I'll go get it, and I'll find out where the Chuck E. Cheese is so we can send Pink there. And Brunette's like, it's alright. I'm probably gonna fucking die, but it's cool, because, like, everything I've had that connects me to this world is dead. Except for y'all, and I'm not really connected to y'all, so it's okay if I die. So she goes off, walks off to get the medicine, and then we cut to Pink, who's, like, standing at a window. She's like, oh, because it's raining and winding, and she shut the window, and she's like, oh, why am I getting wet? Hang on. Why is the window broken? And then we cut to her looking behind at the shovel, and she sees the bite marks, and oh no, her reality is shattering. She's going to crack. Ah! And then we cut to Zombinis. Zombinis are breaking down the barricades. Oh no, they're all fucked. And that's the end of the episode.
Yep, that's the end of episode 10. So actually, episode 10's like the last episode that has like any moe bits in it at all, because obviously Yuki snaps into reality.
Yeah, because Yuki's completely snapped.
Yeah, the only moe bits are from her.
Yeah, because it's her reality essentially. So I think I can put into words why I don't like this.
Okay.
Is that I feel personally what interests me in a zombie survival sort of story is that the zombies don't matter. The zombies don't matter one bit. Like, they are literally a prop. They are a constant visual metaphor about any sort of wide sort of topic you want to talk about, sort of like society in general, or in the case of like not Day of the Dead, the one before that. Why am I so bad at remembering the Dead movies?
Dawn of the Dead?
The mall one.
Dawn of the
Dawn
Dead.
of the Dead, that's it, thank you. The Dawn of the Dead, where it's like that was a comment on consumerism and, you know, zombies in a mall. Haha, bit on the nose. But it's that sort of thing of like zombies are very much a shorthand. They're not the focus of a zombie story. The focus of a zombie story is the humans dealing with it and being in an environment where everything is so heightened that the tension and story and drama and character writing comes from them dealing with their surroundings or not dealing with it, and also having to deal with the way that everyone else is dealing with it. And I feel like, to me, the reason why this doesn't really resonate or feel that cohesive in my mind as something that like I'm interested in is that it feels very kind of formulaic in a way. About like the minute the veil was dropped in episode 1, I was really excited because I was like, cool, I wasn't actually expecting it to do that.
Mhm.
Like the barricade, the only thing that I noticed beforehand where I was like, that's a bit odd, was the barricade bit, because the dog runs up to the barricade and then turns away. I'm like, why is there just a barricade inside a school? Like, first of all, my thought was, why doesn't the dog just run through the barricade? Because it very clearly could, which, you know, it did in episode 10, it got killed. But, it's like, okay, that was weird, but my brain was like, it's a moe. They're probably just lazy or something. Move on. And I guess the thing is, after that veil dropped, I was expecting it to be like, okay, it's not a moe, but every bit of moe that is still in it, because I really like the concept of it gets less moe as it goes along, because it shows how Yuki is slowly becoming her custom reality she's made for herself to cope with the world is slowly shattering around her because it is not stable. I like that concept. The problem to me is like the moe elements that they do have didn't have enough sort of juxtaposition or irony, in a sense, of like, oh, we're doing sports events and exercise now. Like it wasn't the case of like, oh, we're doing this and like they're desperately having to like avoid using certain rooms because there's zombies in them, or because parts are falling apart, or wanting to do certain tasks, but like, you know, like going to home ec class and cooking something, but then like stove doesn't work or something, and so they're just like, there's a moment where her reality nearly shatters, but then they're like, oh no, see, it is working, and like they all just pretend that it's working because it like showing how fragile her reality really is and having some actual tension with that. Whereas it's sort of just a case of like, it's kind of separate from the rest of the story from what I've seen of it in the 3 episodes. Might be different in the other episodes. In context with the rest of the season, it might be completely different. But it feels like the veil drops in episode 1, and then the fact that she's moe and everything from there is kind of just left over from that reveal, and they didn't really utilize it enough. Like, it's sort of just like, it's not moe, it's actually a zombie story. But I mean, she's still moe, and we're going to use that to like show her mental state, but it's like, you should have used that in the story as well. And like, it's only really used in context of like, well, we're schoolgirls in a club and we used to have a teacher. Like, the setting of the moe is all that's remaining. Like, they didn't comment on the fact that it's a moe or anything.
I don't.
I think that's personally my thing. Like, I don't think it's bad for that. But it's.
Go ahead.
It's just it's just personally I don't feel interested at all in it.
I'm with Deer. I don't think it needs it.
I don't think it needs it all to like talk about moe genre at all. It just is like, this is what it was, and now it's not, and we're using this now as this thing to explain how she's doing, and it's slowly leaving. and everything else is just like coming together because that's the situation to start with.
Because I think,
I guess for me the thing is just like it's just this case of like I've seen so many zombie stories. It's just like I saw it as like there's a really interesting angle you could go down with it that would be entirely unique, and it feels like personally they didn't go down that, and they went the more bog standard zombie story with these moe elements in it, and it's like that is something, but it's not as interesting as it could have been in my eyes.
See,
go ahead.
I get where you're coming from, but I just think, because to me this series is very much like a more for entertainment value than anything, and that's kind of how I view it in a way. I think they do it really well, though. Like, I don't think it was ever trying to be like this deep commentary or anything. And
no, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to treat it as like, oh, this is meant to be a deep commentary on moe. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it is this bog standard entertaining zombie narrative, and like that's okay. I just don't like it because I don't like bog standard zombie narratives with like little elements in it. Like, if I'm just saying personally, to make me really like it, it would have had to have gone down that route, and I would have been like, this is really good. But personally, it didn't, and that's okay. I just don't like it.
Can I say that I feel...
Because it's like it's the sort of thing where it's like the dog's missing. It's like, okay, the dog's dead. It's a zombie. Got it. That's the episode. It's so, like, that's it. I already knew.
Well, I mean, but do you need to be... I guess that's the thing that I'm getting at for me is, like, do you need to be, like, taken aback by something in a show to enjoy it? Let me finish. Because I have noticed, at least with you, a lot of the reasons that you wind up liking things is because it's like it plays on the different on what moe could be. It's making either not a joke about it, but it's playing off of like what moe is,
it's
or having a deeper conversation about it. And not everything needs to be a deeper conversation, I don't think, but it seems to be something that you very much so gravitate towards.
I mean, it's something I gravitate towards, but it's not like it's like a prerequisite for me to like something. Like, the reason why... Here's what I say. You can have these bog standard things. Like, you could have the story about the dog, but I need to care about the characters, and I just didn't give a shit about the characters. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, I get it. And they're these types of characters. They're these moe types of characters.
They're
these archetypes. There's this one with the backstory. There's this one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And that's just
here's the thing. I understand that. That's the thing. I understand that. But the thing is, I still not related, but I empathized with, and I really did like what I saw of Blondie's character. I didn't give a shit about Purple. I didn't give a shit about Brunette. Pink, I was like, this could have been interesting, but like, I feel like maybe like the episodes we've seen don't really do anything much with it.
Yeah, we didn't learn anything about them at all. Or maybe in other episodes as much. But like, well, the glimpses we got of like Blondie were interesting to me, whereas like the flashback that like I forgot her name, the brunette character, like the little bits of her telling about like, hey, you need to stay in line with this like reality that Pink has, because like I don't care if it's right or wrong, we're doing it. Like these sorts of like glimpses of actual character. Only one that we got a flashback though.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's funny. Yeah, it's really funny too that you say that Blonde was the only one that you really cared about, and you didn't care about Brunette or Purple at all, because Brunette and Purple, I think, are the best characters after watching the whole series, and I think Blonde's actually the weakest character, aside from Yuki. So that's what's like kind of funny.
I feel like I need to mention the caveat of when I say like I cared about. I didn't actually care. I was just like, out of all of them, that's the one where I was like, if you ask me to say my favorite, it's like that one.
We assume that when you say you care, you mean like maybe 1% more.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying it's funny because, like, on a surface level, I would say, and especially with the episodes that we watched, I would say, like, she does seem like the most interesting, but I'm saying, as someone who's watched the series more than once, I think that Shovel and Burnett are, like, the most interesting characters.
And That's fair. It's just personally from the 3 episodes we saw, and that's like I'm going to obviously put that into account. But from the 3 episodes I saw, it's like I don't.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with the 3-episode rule, right? Like, at the end of the day, there's gonna have the episodes of like character building and things that make you give a fuck are usually gonna be. I guess
the thing also to me is like,
well, I'm not saying
when we do watch something like that. I'm not trying to refute you, dear. I'm just trying to explain. Like, I'm trying to like elaborate more on like my feelings and like why I feel like this is that it's even when we do watch something where I'm like, okay, there is something here I kind of want to know more. It's like I latch onto it and I'm like, I wish we could have watched more episodes. But in this, it's like, I know there probably is more about their characters, but I don't care. There's nothing for me to latch onto with this.
Well, yeah,
it's like there's a promise of like a really, really emotional story, a really emotional zombie story with these characters that get developed in further episodes. But I'm like, okay, that's good. From the episodes I've seen and what I've seen of it and what I can extrapolate from it, I'm like, I'm good.
Well, yeah,
like, I don't want to.
I wasn't like coming after you with that. I was just trying to like say like, as in a general sense, not like towards you, but like towards like, hello, dear listener, towards you. That like that's kind of the problem we deal with on the podcast, right? Like, there's always going to be the episodes that we miss that either make a lot more sense, or it was Blonde's original episode where she fucks her girlfriend and they get a dog, or it's an episode that explains absolutely everything, like fucking Higurashi when they cry. Jesus Christ, that show. That would explain maybe a lot more to it comparatively, and we're always going to have that problem no matter what. Like, there's no fix to it other than watch more episodes, and we're not going to do that.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. It's like some things we will, but it's like for something like this, if you came to me and were like say Spooky came to me and was like, listen, there's this series, but like you're probably not going to get all of it from just 3 episodes. Like, could we do the full season? If Spooky explained like rough, like we would have to obviously spoil the point.
Oh yeah.
Because if Spooky came to me and was like, it's a moe, I would be like, Spooky, fuck off.
Yeah.
We're not watching an entire season of a moe.
Yeah.
But it's like, if Spooky had to explain like the general gist of it to me, I would be like, that sounds interesting, show me a trailer. Or, you know, an intro or some sort of like vertical slice of it. I would have seen it, and I probably would have come to the same conclusion of, it doesn't feel like it's something enough that I could talk about unless I just talk for 2 hours about like, I just personally don't like it. And like, all I can say is like, I would have rathered this, like I can see what they were doing, but personally it feels kind of like a waste of time for me to watch so much of it.
Right. And I think part of it is you wanted it, it's very much, how do I word this, right? So it's very much like, here is your standard moe set in zombie apocalypse world. It's not so much, here is just a zombie series. It mixes the genres. And I think, here's the thing from my point of view.
Yeah.
Because to me, this is, because you know me, I like it when things are unique. And to me, this is unique, but I'm viewing it more from the moe standpoint, not the zombie apocalypse standpoint, right? Where I'm like, okay, they're giving me this, like, kind of, I wouldn't even say emotional. I don't think I really got emotional during it, but it's like they're giving me... Fuck you.
Shut
But it's
up.
like they're giving me a series that would normally be a stereotypical moe, and they're putting it in zombie apocalypse, and they're like changing shit up, right? And it's like a survival thing. And as it goes on, it becomes more so that. And to me, that's why ultimately, like, why I gave it an 8. Like, I was like, wow, this has like really good reveals, super fucking good reveals, little build-ups and stuff, which I always look for. It tried something new, it tried something unique. And the other thing is that this, like I mentioned in the commentary, this is just like the first part of a huge fucking manga series that I haven't read yet. I started to read it. So it's like, yeah, for the series, there's a lot of the moe, but when you look at like the grand scale, and going into it, I knew that there was more manga, because this was an anime made kind of to be like, hey, go buy the manga, you know what I mean? Because a lot of those are made.
Mainly it's just like an advertisement type thing.
Yeah, so...
I think to me, the thing, because like, as I think about it, like when you're saying like the reveals and everything, it's like, yeah, that was the most enjoyable part of it for me, sort of like, watching the moe shatter bit by bit over each episode. Like, that was interesting to me. And it's like, okay, this is interesting. What else has it got? And then it was just like, okay, outside of this moe, we've got just a story that personally doesn't appeal to me.
Right.
And it's like, okay, that's on a personal level, disappointing. From a sort of more objective, but not really objective, because that's not what objectivity is, but from a separating my opinion from it level, like, it's like, okay, I can see the quality in this. But personally, it's like, man, I can, in my mind, I'm like, this entire time while like a lot of this, because like there were elements of it where it was still moe, and I'm like, I jokingly sort of said when we first started, I put in our Discord, I was like, oh god, someone help me, Spooky tricked me, it's a moe. And then when the reveal dropped, I went, it's okay, don't worry, I was double tricked, it's not a moe. Halfway through episode 10, I was actually going to post a third one that said, I've been triple tricked. It actually is a moe set in a zombie apocalypse. And I was like, but it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It feels like a zombie apocalypse with a specific moe character, and showing why a moe character and moe setting does not work in anything but a moe. And it's like, it felt like the foundation of it wasn't the moe-ness of it, in a way, even though it is. It's weird. I have a complicated, weird feeling about it. But yeah,
I mean,
it's just...
and a lot of it, I mean, man, I really wanted to show because it was hard for me to pick between 10 or 11 to show. And I'm glad I went with 10. I love episode 10. I think, like, I think, I think that, them finding Megune, like, as a zombie is really good. I think Kurumi not being able to kill her is really good. And I think that showing Ri, like, being like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to kill my best friend, aren't I, is, like, really good. And those struggles kind of continue on to the next episode or whatever. But the next episode is, like, I don't know, I think, like, 10 and 11 kind of go hand to hand in a way. What point was I going to make? I got mildly sidetracked, because you said something about... Fuck, wait, what was it? Because it was... You said something about moe...
Moe in a zombie setting, not a
Oh,
the fact that,
that's right. You said
I don't feel like it's a moe in a like a moe set in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It feels like a zombie apocalypse with a moe character and setting in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So what I was gonna say is it very much is a moe in a zombie apocalypse setting for the first part of the series, and it's, like I said, it slowly becomes the other thing. And episode 11 is kind of where it stops being moe.
It's fully...
Because, Yuki finally comes to terms with, like, what is happening, and is like, I need to do shit to save my friend. I need to do shit to help my friend who's trying to save my friend. Like, I need to accept that the teacher is dead. Like, this is real shit.
The dog is dead.
And
like,
and it's like, part of me wishes I could have shown you the episode where it's like, where that conversion, like, really happens, but I just thought episode 10 was better in a way as an episode when looking at the 3-episode rule, right? Because if I would have went to episode 11, you would have been like, what the fuck's happening? Because it would have been like Ri standing there with a knife over Kurumi, like, you know what I mean? It's like you could have pieced it would have been together,
another again.
But yeah, it would have been just like so out of fucking nowhere. And I don't know, like, episode 11 has really good scenes. Like, Mi-chan goes down because she has to get, like, the medicine. And
Le cough cough.
Yeah, she, like, because it's a medicine to reverse the infection on Kurumi.
Mm.
Oh, okay. See, I was not going to say that because I was like, I didn't know if that's what it actually was because I was like, that's fucking dumb. That can't be it.
No, that...
I was actually really hoping it wasn't that.
There's, like, a whole big thing with, like, the outbreak.
Zombrex.
There's, like, a whole thing with, like, the outbreak where, like, basically when it happened, they, like, the school was kind of made into a place where you could survive for a while. It was, like, this whole big thing. We missed all of that fucking backstory, all of it. But, anyway... there's, like, a whole thing where Michan goes down and is, like, you know, because she ends up killing Megune, and she's, like, thanks her for watching after her friends
the gem
shit.
that she drops?
She's like, you know, thanks for everything that you did for them, sorry that I have to do this, and kills her. And it's kind of, like, around that same time that Yuki is, like, comes to the realization, like, oh, fuck, like... I've been living in my own...
window is broken.
Yeah, I've been living in my own world this whole time, and I need to not do that anymore.
Can I
reality becomes unignorable.
Can I steal the mic?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how much Spooky knows about this. Gamb knows somewhat about it. 10 years ago, okay... we're getting into that. 10 years ago, I was on DeviantArt. And there was a thing called groups, and you would roleplay in them, you would have characters you would create with backstories, you would roleplay as said characters. I made a zombie group called Ash Creek. It is still around, apparently. Mm-hmm. It is 10 years old. I've literally just found it again.
Oh my god.
And so...
You have a poster of it, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have a literal poster of it on my room. I'll show it to you later, Spooky.
Yeah.
And if you remind me, Gamb, I can just send... Actually, I'll just send it to the both of you
so you can put it on Patreon. Anytime Deer is streaming, ask Deer about it. And Deer will show you on their stream.
Yeah. It's actually in my office.
It's in their streaming room.
Yeah, it is! It was a commission I did, or got from someone, of my character and other characters. Anyway, that's beside the point. I like zombies, actually. I got pretty burnt out on them after a while, but I actually quite like zombies. Mm-hmm. I like horror in the first place. And so for me, I was like, okay, this is just an anime. Veil drops, whatever. I'm like, okay, it's a zombie anime. It doesn't click that it's, for me, it wasn't that it was a moe anime. It was the fact that it was a zombie anime. And they were just adding different types of characters into it. Because the interesting thing to me, especially like having made like roleplay groups and stuff, has always been how those characters deal with the setting given to them.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yes, which is why I was like, moe character in zombie setting, I am completely on board with this.
And so I had no problem with this, actually. I actually had a very fun time, weirdly enough. I actually think it is more than enough to see her, like, slowly become less okay over time. Because I, in that roleplay group, played anywhere from stone cold pieces of shit to psychotic breakdowns to just average ass people that were just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Now that is a surprise.
Really? That was like the most fun version, actually.
Well, I'm just going off like, of course you would play a character like that. Of course you would play a character like that. That's not you. Who are you?
No, that's fair. But I guess for me, just like, I actually am going to go back and show this to Max because I'm interested in watching this.
Yeah.
There are parts of it that are still very fucking painful, but I don't know if it needed more, just comparatively. Like, I think
I think
me,
it's fine
least,
for a lot of people.
It had the elements of, like, zombies that I wanted. Like, they weren't a huge, like, part of it, so to speak.
Yeah, it wasn't like every episode is the threat as a zombie is broken in some. That would have been awful.
That's never the threat, right? The threat is food, water, electricity.
The threat isn't the zombie itself,
it's
like dealing with the zombies.
Yes. Yeah. And surviving long enough when the zombies are not a problem. And it's usually actually the biggest threat is usually other people, but
the biggest monster is
so
man.
it's kind of interesting to see that sort of lens put on this if you kind of assume that Pink is a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because
she
she is the problem.
Pink is the problem.
She literally gets people killed. And so it's kind of interesting to me, and I'm 100% like on board with this, to be like, yeah, we're watching her fuck up other people's lives and people just trying to hold on to the tiny little pieces that they still have. Still having dinner, still having this, going up to the garden to do whatever, pretending everything's okay, pretending the teacher's there just so that she doesn't freak the fuck out and they can have a normal week.
Yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
they even say,
Question,
like,
Spooky.
that Yuki gives them a sense of normalcy and, like, calms them in a way that
Yeah.
they need. Uh-huh.
Yeah, quick question, though, about that.
Yeah.
Is there any moment in there where it becomes too much for them? Like, where Yuki's reality becomes too much for one character and they're just like, I can't handle this, right? I need to just be away from you for 5 minutes or something, or you know, something like that, where it's like where like the blinding reality becomes a danger and a distraction to them.
Yeah, so Mi-chan really struggles with that towards the beginning, but actually in episode 11 there's definitely a point where Ri is like, I need to be like, leave, I can't deal with this right now. And there are parts where it's like, Yuki's like, I'm gonna go do this thing, and they're like, whoa, wait, no, you can't go that way. Like, and they have to come up with like a reason as to why she can't. So yeah, that is kind of sprinkled throughout, for sure.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just like, I like the concept of zombie narratives, but I'm still burnt out on zombies. Like, I'm in the position where it's like, if you do a zombie story, I'm like, you have to do something either different or really, really unique with it. And personally, it felt like this one didn't do enough unique. It was just like, okay, standard zombie story, got it. So these are the story beats that are going to happen in the zombie story, and it's like, okay, the unique element that's in there, they're not doing enough of it in my mind for it to really shatter that sort of door in my mind to be like, okay, this is actually really, really interesting. Let's, like, I really latch onto it. Like, episode 10, I was like, at the beginning of episode 10, I was like, okay, after episode 6, I'm like, okay, this is getting somewhere. This is like, I'm not really a fan of an entire episode being a flashback episode and then cutting back to everything's fine. Like, oh, we'll make so many great memories together here at school. And I was like, could have done something, but I mean, I'm not off yet. I'm still on board. But then episode 10, it was like, okay, dog's gone missing. Okay, dog's dead. Dog's a zombie, and then it's like, oh, here's the zombie that turned the dog. Okay, the zombie's going to be the teacher because they had the reincorporation of the teacher earlier in the episode, and it's like, okay, here's the story beats, and then it's like her struggling to kill the teacher. It's like, okay, now she's going to get bitten, and they're going to have to struggle with that. It's like all these things where it's like, a lot of stories have done this exact thing before, and I'm like, okay, it's not it's not a case where it's like, oh, well, another story did this, you can't do this. But because I'm so burnt out on zombies, it kind of is that case for me in my mind, where it's like, okay, I've already seen this in other stories. Like, if you're going to use zombies, you have to do something different or something unique with it enough, which is why I was like, I wish they did more with the moe aspect of it. Like, have
fair.
it be an actual strain on some people over time, to a point where, like, say, episode 7 or whatever, like, Blondie has an actual mental breakdown because she's like, I can't, like, she starts yelling at Pink or something, like, just fucking stop. Like, I can't, like, none of this is real. Like actively, like, breaks because she can't handle someone being able to pretend that everything's fine and smile and everything when it's like people are dying around them and everyone's dead and everything's terrible. It's like, I needed that more.
For me,
that's what,
my burnout usually manifests itself around games, because everything has a zombie mode now and there's millions of zombie games and I'm sick of it. But around shows, I'm a little bit more lenient because I'm more invested in the characters usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's
I
my
think,
thing with it.
And
I don't give a shit
think
about zombies.
Yeah, I think at least for me, it was enough to be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my thing, is I like seeing the roles. Like, Ria's like, I need to stay responsible, I need to take care of people, I need to do this and this and this. And then seeing her, like, breaking under the pressure of, like, you know, me and my friend who's infected, like, made this pact together where if something would happen, you know, I would kill her. And it's like, but now she has to act on that, and that's hard. Where in, like, Shovel Girl is like, you know, I'm the strong one, I'm gonna protect people, and she's, like, the hot-headed one, and then she's like, you know, I'll do whatever it takes to protect people, but then when it comes down to it, she can't. And, like, Miki, who never thought she'd be able to do anything like that, is the one who ends up killing Megune. Like, there's, like, a lot, and it's, that's exactly it, dear. I'm with you there. It's like, the zombies, I don't really give too much of a shit about. I don't consume any zombie media, though, either.
They could, for me, being consuming of zombie media and enjoying it, they could just be the same fucking zombies. I don't give a shit. It's whatever.
Well, the good sign of a good zombie media is you can replace the zombies with anything else, like wild boars, and the story would be the same. Because it's not about the zombies themselves.
Yeah. And I would kind of agree with that here. I think the interesting thing that I'm kind of curious about is, we didn't really talk about it. At the end of the last episode, 10, we see the teacher writing. Like, she's dead. She's full dead. And she's, like, writing their names. And it's just like, oh, they have some kind of sentience. Yeah. Because they were also talking about how the students were coming back to school because they remembered it.
Yeah, so I actually meant to bring that up, and I forgot. That is touched upon in the series, where the zombies have some kind of sense to them still, where like during school hours they are at the school more and stuff, and then whenever after school hours they like kind of leave. So it's like, when I told you they like break out and they like go collect supplies and shit, it's like during times it's like, okay, well, this time of the day, you know, people would be at work and like people would be at school or whatever, so let's like sneak out, let's break out, and let's go to like the store and stuff then whenever there's going to be the least amount of them. And there's like one episode where they use like a fire alarm to get zombies to kind of evacuate the area and like different things like that. And I think that's really cool. And that's one of the things that shows Megune doing, is writing in her journal, and most of it's scribbles, like most of it's completely illegible bullshit, but she still manages to like get their names down. Kind of,
it's like hard to read.
So
taking like name roll call.
It's like she's writing
I know how
down
to say that word,
because she was like their club advisor, and she was like close to those three. So it's like, I say 3 because Miki wasn't a part of that, but that's exactly it. They have some kind of sentience still to them, which I think is definitely part of what makes it harder for like Kurumi to kill Megune, and definitely what makes it hard
because they're not completely mindless.
Yeah, because and that's like a scene that happens that we don't see is whenever Kurumi is making Ri promise that she would like kill her basically if she ever got infected, is Kurumi asks Ri, like, do you think the zombies have any idea, like, who they are? Like, do you think that they're aware, or do you think they're just mindless? And Ri is like, I'm not really sure. And Kurumi's like, I hope they're just mindless, because I can't stand the thought of them having some idea of who they are and hurting the people. And I can't stand the thought of, like, them still being them and having to kill them.
God, I love that shit.
Yeah, so...
Sorry, this is the shit that I love in zombie stuff. This is, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
Yeah, no, that whole part's really interesting, too. I meant to bring that up, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it completely slipped my mind, because we did not get to watch the episode.
So what you're saying is, Season 2... they're all zombies, and now it's a moe, but the characters are all zombies.
There is a series like that we could watch where it's a moe and the characters are zombies.
No. No.
So,
No.
Gamb,
Anyway.
what would you rate this?
I see. Okay, how do we rate it again? What did we say the scale was?
It was like 1 to 3. Never want to watch again. Ever. Nope. Never. And then there was also negative. So bad it was good. Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Then-
definitely not negative. 'Cause it
And
wasn't
then like
bad at all.
4 to 7 was like it's okay.
I mean, I would take it as just 5 being
And
dead
then, like-
average, right?
I think like 5 is dead average because like 7 to or it's like 7 or 8 to 10 was like good shit.
I guess my problem with how I'm like thinking of. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to put asterisks in again, Spooky.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Hold on, let me pull up my Word document for it now.
Is that like, if we're talking in terms of like how good I think it is, I think it's like a 7. If we're
Uh-huh.
talking in terms of like whether I'd want to watch it again, we're talking in like a 3.
Okay, hold on.
'Cause
Gamb.
it's like I see that it's good,
So-
but personally I don't want to
So-
watch it ever again.
So okay. If you had to actually try your hardest to find the average between how much you want to rewatch it and how good you think it is there a number for you?
Not really, because they're two completely different scales. Like, usually they match up of, like, I think this is good, and I want to watch more of it.
Yeah.
Or I think this is bad, and I don't want to see it ever again. Or only watch it because it's, like, so bad it's good. But this is, like, I see the good elements in it, but it's not good enough, personally, for me. And it feels wrong to give it a flat 3, because it's, like, it feels like I'm saying it's bad, when it's, like, it's not bad, it's just, I don't like it.
Well, I mean,
But I guess you could say, like...
You could just, like, say, like, a 5 or 6 and then just be like, nah, I don't like it.
But that doesn't feel right either, because it's not a 5 or a 6 in my mind on either part. It's like,
Okay.
yeah, that's the difference between the two. But for me, it's like, if someone was like, oh, you rated it a 5, so you thought it was fine. It's like, no, I didn't. I hated it, but it's good. It's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't feel right to me. So... write down whatever you want with that, Spooky.
Yep, I did it already.
Did you transcribe all of that, the entire paragraph?
No, I just put 3 asterisks, and then in parentheses, asterisk thinks it's good like a 7, but personally a 3.
But personally
Yeah,
offended.
so basically,
Yeah.
well, we need another asterisk on there that just says Gamb's a fucking asshole.
I really do need one.
Yeah.
Like, the notepad itself needs an asterisk next to the title, and then at the bottom it'll just
I'm
be like, Gam's an
sorry.
asshole.
I'm sorry I have complex opinions that I can't boil down to a single number because I'm terrible at solidifying into one single
I
number.
used
because
to
I
be,
No,
but
Gamb,
now
it's okay.
I've-
You
yeah.
can't solidify anything. That's just who you are. And we've
Yeah.
come to
Okay,
accept that.
okay, here. If we can make it easy, we'll put it like this. If someone came up to me and was like,
Double
oh, what do you
asterisk,
think of
let's
this?
go.
I would first say, I fucking hate it, but there's good elements in it and you might like it. So I would say go with the 3. Just say 3.
Okay.
Because then if someone comes up to me, because like, I would rather someone think that I hate it and then me explain I hate it, but it's
Okay.
good, rather than someone thinking, oh, you like this? It's like, no, I fucking
Yeah.
hate it. I just think it's good.
Okay, then why don't we, from the future out as well, at least for you, because this
I
has
can't
happened.
guarantee that.
Nope.
can't guarantee that.
Shut the fuck up. From the future out,
can't
at least
guarantee
trying for you, just being like, what would you
Oh man,
rather?
my hard drive's running out of space.
What would you rather have someone think you think about it?
I don't know. I think it's almost funnier to have the amount of asterisks and parentheses next to Gamb's ratings, because they
That's
keep getting
fair.
longer, and it's really funny.
That's
Well,
good.
it's because he keeps showing me things that I'm either like middle of the road on, or
Right.
like I'm like completely disconnected from like what everyone else thinks about it and what like like the personal quality of it. Because like if it was like not a zombie apocalypse, but like was just like a general apocalypse and there were no zombies, I probably would have rated this higher. It's just because I'm like, I cannot stand zombies in anything.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it all. I've seen every story that could be possibly done with a zombie. And I'm like, okay, I've seen all of these story beats so many times. Like, I get it. It's them doing it with these characters, but like,
Well,
I
yeah.
don't care. Like,
For
stop,
you,
please.
it's the same fucking sandwich you've been handed a million times, and for me, it's like a nice, warm, I don't know,
bowl of soup.
no,
A warm
well,
It's
yeah,
a nice
no,
hard piece of hardtack.
No, I would actually say a bowl of soup would not be a terrible thing because it's kind of comforting. It's a little boring because I've seen it a million
It's a
times,
bowl of soup with
but
an eyeball
it
floating
is
in it.
comforting for me.
See, and I
Bowl
don't
of soup
consume...
with a floating eyeball and a pinky.
I don't consume any zombie media ever. I mean, do I think some of the...
I thought you were going to say I don't consume soup.
I do consume soup.
This is
but
just a parfait
don't-
with something you
yeah.
don't eat at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like I don't consume zombie media ever. I could still see some of the story beats, like, a mile away.
Guys, I'm really fucking
But-
hungry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, I don't know, to me it was, like, refreshing enough to see, like, this in an anime setting, especially with, like, moe characters. I like when things try new... I don't know, I like it whenever they're like, let's try this different thing. I can at least appreciate it to some degree.
Yeah, it's like, if I boiled it down into a sentence, I'd be like, an attempt was made. I would say, like, they average marks, but personally, their routine, don't like it, and they would have had to have done something really unique in order for me to have liked it. But they didn't.
8,
So
by
it's
the
like,
way.
8, okay,
8.
I was about to ask.
8. 8.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I enjoy it. Like I said, it's nothing that I'm going to look for anything that's like crazy or anything. Like I go to School Live when I'm like, I want a show where I can kind of watch it and enjoy it and turn my brain off, but like it's still good, and I do think it's good. And I guess a lot of the times I tend to think of shows. Not all shows, but a lot of shows by scenes, and I think it has really good scenes. Like, a lot of, like, my shows that you see in, like, my, like, 6, 7s, and 8s are going to be things where I'm, like, I don't love the whole thing, obviously, because they're not a 9 or a 10, but they had really, really strong moments, or, like, there was something really strong about it, and that's, like, where those come from.
I feel like that's the distinction between you and I, because I feel like for me it's the polar opposite, where I'm like, there are strong scenes in this that I really like the reveal of the
see
teacher,
it as a whole.
The reveal in episode 1, like a lot of things where it was just like this is great, I like this, but like overall I'm just like, it's just a shame that it's in service of something that's so ineffectual.
And see,
in my mind.
the other thing I do. And I should probably clarify
kill
this.
people.
I do regularly with my shovel and my zombie dog. But no, I should clarify this for people, because everything I show them I've seen. We haven't done something yet where I haven't seen it first. So I already have a ranking for everything that we watch. And how I rank things, I never finish it and instantly rank, ever. I sit on it for a while. So it's like, if I'm sitting on something for a while and I find myself thinking back to it still, it normally will get a higher rating than what I initially thought. And School Live did that for me.
We're gonna have a fun time when I show you things, Spooky.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing, same, where it's like, if I am still thinking about it, like a week later or something, like, it's like, okay, I know I'm going to be thinking about this for a while. It's like, okay, then that clearly has more of an impact on me than I think it does.
Yeah.
I know this thing is not going to stick in my mind unless I specifically think about stories that disappointed me because they didn't go where I wanted them to, or thinking about like zombie stories with potential.
See,
like it's gonna be completely out of my mind.
For me, like if something, because an 8 sounds like a super high score, and it's like.
No, we all
decently.
Consume IGN. 8's not high.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, decently, but it's
a
still,
B.
To me,
it's a B.
Yeah, exactly, it's a B. Yeah, like...
An 8's like an A-.
Well... What?
No, it's a B.
An 80%'s a B.
Oh, I forgot the grading scale in America is completely different.
Haha.
Yeah,
Australia.
0 to 100. 0 to 100, so yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so it's like...
Yeah, 50%'s a pass rate for us.
Oh.
Okay.
But anyway...
60 for us.
To me, well, and it's kind of weird, right? Because to me, a 5 is a perfect average, which would be more like a C. But there's, like, a range, right? And if I would have liked...
That's
Yeah, and it's like, if I would have liked this entire thing from beginning to end, and it had those strong scenes, then it probably would have been a 9. But the thing that... really stands out with the show for me are the strong scenes. It's like, I am aware that there are a lot of scenes that are just like, here's anime shit. But that's fine with me, because it's not like a 9 or a 10. You know what I mean? And for it to reach that. Because I'll tell you right now, the only shows I would ever recommend watching, like, every episode of are things that are a 9 or a 10. I would never go below a 9 for, like, we should watch this series. Like, because we're just kind of, just because we were generally talking about, like, 3-episode rule, haha. But I would have never shown this as anything other than a 3-episode rule. Because it's like, I don't think it's actually worth it.
And it's like, it's
100%.
It's the sort of thing where it's like, it's a shame that the 3-episode rule is there, but it's also, it's not worth watching the entire season and doing multiple episodes on it. Like,
right.
It's like, it's like almost there in some regards, but it's not enough to really warrant it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably watch the whole thing.
Good. I mean, I've watched it more than once. I really like it. Caleb likes it too. But yeah, to me, it's like, this has really, really strong scenes in it. And when I rewatch the show, I'm like kind of anticipating those scenes, which I do for every show. Don't get me wrong. I do that with Madoka too. I love Madoka from beginning to end. I love every scene of Madoka. But there are still scenes I'm anticipating. And that's what makes it a 10, right? Is that I love it all the way through. And there's also those strong scenes.
Yeah, it's not just the strong scenes. It's also the reinforcement and like foundation of the anime that works for you. Yeah. Whereas like for me, if the foundation and like rest of it falls apart, then the entire thing falls apart for me.
Well, I mean,
that makes sense.
That's kind of what I kind of enjoy about like each of us having our opinions, right? Because like there, for all the people that listen, right? Like there will be people that are like, I'm more like Deer, I'm more like Spooky, I'm more like Gamb, and be like, okay, I now know to either watch this or not, because I relate enough with this person, or none of them, or whatever, or and all of them.
That's the point of the podcast.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
That all three of us have varying degrees of experience with anime.
And different intakes of media.
Some of us hate it.
Different intakes of media, experiences with anime, and
I'm some of us.
Ways to... Shut the fuck up. And ways to... What's the word I'm looking for here? And not interrogate... Analyze, like media. And so, you know, there you go. We're almost at like an hour and a half. Do we want to...
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like 20, 30 minutes, because I thought we'd like be really quick on it, but I guess we lasted a lot longer. Do you have anything you want to add, Spooky?
Shovel Girl, Best Girl.
E-Pant?
Hell yeah.
Oh, Shovel Girl, Best Girl.
Yeah.
You know, she's covered wars, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's covered World War One.
This is our last gay episode, isn't it? Aww.
What? Oh
yeah. By the way, June was secretly Pride Month episode.
We did it. This wasn't a Pride Month episode. That was last week. I just did the one.
No. This has a lesbian in it. That means it's a Pride Month episode. Huzzah! We did it.
Okay, goodbye. Everybody.
We can put a rainbow flag on the logo now. Give us money.
Oh my God! Shut up, Gamb. Bye.
Wait, no. Gamb. It's July 1st. We can't do this anymore.
Oh yeah, it's totally July 1st. Okay, bye.